Back from a little commercial break. As you know, Taurus has to eat. I drink lots of coffee. All right, so jumping back into the last file that we're in. Here we go. Good. I think that's it. Yeah. All right, so we were looking at right here. Well, let me pull that up big for me. Sorry, should have been prepared. Okay, so this is where we left off right here, reading from this section where we confirmed that there are individuals who came to a point where they were trained in different viewing methodologies of one of these parapsychological phenomena, being remote viewing specifically. So now we have these individuals being cross-trained in different modalities. We're in 1988, 1989. They have coordinate right here, coordinate remote viewing, extended remote viewing, and written remote viewing, and the CRV and ERV training time has been reduced from 2 years to 6 months. And moving down to this lower section, number 6, it says that during the reporting period, the unit automatic data processing system was programmed to reflect the scope and value of all training and operational sessions from 1986 to date. So this is talking about, I'm just showing here the empirical data, right? So we're showing that this has now been documented, verified, and repeated to a degree where this branches, where this moves from the realm of theory or hypothesis into something that we can form into an actual understanding. So we can say this is a scientific study, and here's the results of the studies. So we've got from 1986 to date, this is 1989, this information is now retrievable by date, remote viewer number, project number, and methodology used. The results of training sessions are entered on a daily basis. Results of operational sessions are entered upon receipt of customer feedback. About 15 to 20% of operational sessions were evaluated based on customer feedback, known ground truth, or public disclosures of previously classified data. So they're also talking about how they're going back to verify accuracy. And then going on here, to some of the tabs who are showing this, I just wanted to show you production report by viewer in 88. So we have operational projects, 321 operational projects, 60 assessments, 382 training sessions, and total 763 sessions. We have viewers here. Continuing on, production report by methodology. We have this viewer who did coordinate remote viewing, 48 sessions. This one did all 3 methodologies and continued to do solo projects. This viewer did 110 coordinate remote viewing sessions. Over here we have someone, so written remote viewing, so there shows this variance. There's different strengths. It's not just all strong in one. There's different methodologies that person could favor. And again, these training programs that they have down to 6 months. And let's see what else we have here. This last page was stricken from the record. I think we're good. We can pause here and look at this other tab. So again, I think I said in the very beginning that this is where we're going. This is no disrespect to this individual who wrote this article. My point here is solely to flag that we are talking about a mainstream, highly respected publication that is releasing information that is essentially, the whole purpose of it is to debunk the idea of the concepts that are shared. Oh, shoot. Let me see if I recorded anything on this because my volume. Let me pause real quick. I'm back. Sorry for the mini panic attack. Happy accident. I had my headphones plugged in this whole time, but you could still hear the audio. There's been times, I'm sure if you've ever recorded a video, you know what I'm talking about. It's just going on and on and on, and then like nothing recorded. And so you just got to start all over, or just go to sleep, or just say, oh, that message wasn't meant to go out. But anyways, going back to this, let's read a little bit of this article, shall we? Again, it's titled, Humans Already Use Way, Way More Than 10% of Their Brains. It's a complex, constantly multitasking network of tissues, but the myth persists. This isn't the whole article, so you have to subscribe and yada, yada, yada. But, so Sam writes, by now, perhaps you've seen the trailer for the new sci-fi thriller, Lucy. It starts with a flurry of stylized special effects and Scarlett Johansson serving up a barrage of bad guy beatings. Then comes Morgan Freeman, playing a professorial, never say that, neuroscientist with the obligatory brown blazer to deliver the film's familiar premise to a full lecture hall. Quote, it is estimated most human beings only use 10% of the brain's capacity. Imagine if we could access 100%. Interesting things begin to happen. Johansson, as Lucy, who has been kidnapped and implanted with mysterious drugs, becomes a test case for those interesting things, which seem to include even more impressive beatings and apparently some kind of Matrix-esque time warping skills. Of course, the idea that you only use 10% of your brain is indeed 100% bogus. Why has this myth persisted for so long, and when is it finally going to die? This is the main thing that I want to flag here, along with this whole study of looking at the CIA going into, and our military going into heavy study and scientific study of records and documentations of things that are considered what we call excluded from or inexplicably pseudo-science, rejected by scientists, because we're saying this is 100% bogus. So what is the concept of Lucy? This is a cool movie, and I'm going to probably watch it again tonight. So the idea is that she's able to access more of her brain. So she has these superhuman functions where she's able to tap into different computer systems, and she can control electronics. She can read people's minds and do all of these things. And yes, of course, it's action and it's Hollywood, so she's got this being stuff. But the real concept, the fundamental concept of the movie is that as her brain capacity increases throughout the course of the movie, the different things that she's able to do and the way she's able to help humanity is huge. So the idea that mainstream has worked so hard to continue the narrative that this is all pseudoscience and that there's nothing else that can be done with the mind than what we know today. This interesting side effort has been going on parallel to this to say that, hey, that's actually a myth and we've successfully debunked it. Going back to the reading that we've done of Alice Bailey, Esoteric Psychology, it was very similar in this kind of tongue where the academic method of debunking these theories or these ideas is to say, hey, there's no soul, because that's what we're looking at. How can you prove that there is a soul? What is the fact of the soul? And they said, well, this has been satisfactorily debunked because we have not been able to locate the physical location of the soul in the human body. Debunked. But then the idea is that this is an unseen thing where it is actually able to do certain things and access other information that can't be explained by our common understanding. So is it debunked or is it just not understood? So the idea is, again, with the soul, we talk about it in those studies too, that the soul is the seat of the mental capacity, the mind consciousness. The mind in its elevated state has access to the soul. The soul has access to the unseen realm. Now, this gets into the paranormal, the parapsychology realm, and other things too. It's not just a religious thing. So, which is another way that it's quickly debunked. So going back to this article, here's how they debunk it. In this article, where did it go? Unfortunately, not anytime soon. They want this to die. Again, what? They want this myth to die, that we're not using more of our brains. Unfortunately, not anytime soon. A survey last year by the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research found that 65% of Americans believe the myth is true, 5% more than those who believe in evolution. Even Mythbusters, which declared the statistic a myth a few years ago, further muddied the waters. The show merely increased the erroneous 10% figure and implied incorrectly that people use 35% of their brains. I'm sure this article goes on to tell us just how much they think we use, but the idea is, what are you getting from this? What is the end goal of saying that we don't use, or that we do use more than our brains that we think we do, so that we stop our pursuit? I don't know how that helps us. So I have a little bit more of this. Oh, here's where it goes. The 10% claim is demonstrably false on a number of levels. First, the entire brain is active all the time. Where's your soul? Show me in your body. You can't show me, so it must not be true. Your brain, you're using your entire brain all the time, so the idea that you're using 10% of it, that's false. So it's the same kind of idea. It's not really disproving it. It's saying that the way that we're saying it isn't satisfying their criteria, which is a method of skewing results that we know is predominant in the scientific community. The idea is that we don't understand how to use more of our brain, our cognitive abilities. Therefore, as a species, we are held back from our full potential. Whereas the arc of the character Lucy accesses more of her potential by learning more of her cognitive abilities. Just because you're saying you can look at a diagram and you see different neurons firing in every part of the brain does not mean that that human being is aware of, conscious of, and accessing and using 100% of their mental capacity. So again, just an interesting contrast that I'm looking at in terms of mainstream versus our highly respected government bodies behind the scenes studying concepts such as parapsychology. Parapsychology is the study of mental phenomena excluded from or inexplicable by orthodox scientific psychology, such as hypnosis, telepathy, etc. Again, remember, we have over here that the American Material Systems Analysis Activity, the purpose of their efforts were to study psychic phenomena. Over here, this is in the beginning where they started in the 70s up to what we're looking at in the almost in 1990, almost into the 90s, where we now have a system where we're doing this within 2 years. Now we're doing it within 6 months, but mainstream hasn't caught up with the memo. We're still rejecting it. But what's the difference here? So we have telepathy. Telepathy is the supposed communication of thoughts or ideas by means other than the known senses. I need this to be updated. These are not supposed. These are not pseudoscience. These are not just random guesses, and these are not some people clairvoyance, the supposed faculty of perceiving things or events in the future or beyond the normal sensory contact. Clairsentience, this is my particular affliction. Clear sense of feeling. Those who are clairsentient are experiencing an awareness of other people's emotional energy through subtle cues like body language, facial expression, tone of voice, and energy. And then we go to the hospital because we're inundated with all of this energy and we just feel anxiety is what it translates to. Mainstream, since we're not catching up with the esoteric psychology, our psychology is ill fit to solve the problems or help the patients who don't understand their level of extrasensory perception, which is another reason why the mainstream needs to get caught up with the back evidence and the back studies that have been done. So again, this is falling under the bucket of metaphysics. Again, if we look at physics, physics is a branch of science, but metaphysics is considered a branch of philosophy. So it's saying we're talking about big ideas and abstract concepts that have, look at this, I need this to be updated, no basis in reality. This has an absolute basis in reality. Science gives us the difference being that we can observe, experiment, and test, right? We can observe, experiment, and test theories against the evidence obtained. That's what makes something a science. Now, metaphysics, in my purview, based on what we're talking about in parapsychology and what we've seen, it can very much be made scientific. Now, again, we're looking at why they're claiming the difference again is because they're saying that science deals with the study of the natural or physical or actual world, but we do have psychology being the study of the human mind, and it is considered a science. It is the scientific study of the human mind. However, the mind thinks in a realm that is unseen, and parapsychology is simply the study of mental phenomena that are not seen. Hypnosis, telepathy, like the transfer of thought waves and signals and things that are unseen. Just kind of like how we look at electricity and gravity, these forces that are unseen, but these can be categorized as sciences and things that are grounded in the natural, physical, actual world, yet they're unseen. This is what I'm saying. This is kind of silly that we're kind of behind the times here. We're not getting the memo. And then psychotronics, I just thought this was interesting. It's meant pertaining to a pseudoscience devoted to the interaction of matter, energy, and human consciousness, especially in parapsychological phenomena such as telepathy, clairvoyance, and telekinesis. And it tells you to think about a movie, and it's also been kind of redubbed this whole fake genre of funny movie stuff. So anyways, I am going to end this here. I'm starting to even get irritated. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you continue to dive deeper into this information and ask questions. Oh my god, that scared the shit out of me. It's so windy right now. I hope you can hear it. If it is that loud banging and booming, there's like a massive wind storm going on right now. But anyways, I'm in this here. Thank you so much again for watching, and let's continue this pursuit of knowledge and sharing information. Because yes, the Freedom of Information Act has released this information to the public, but it has not announced this information to the public. It hasn't broadcasted this information to the public because our mainstream scientists and academics and all of these people that are supposed to be kind of, and politicians, they're still laughing at people who talk about this stuff, right? So I'd say that the message hasn't gotten out. So what are we going to do with that? How are we going to spread it? How are we going to move forward? And then what are we going to do with this information? I think one of the last things I did want to share was the difference of what our purpose and our intention is coming from a conscious community, coming from spiritual, metaphysical intent, is what do we do with this information when we gather it? Not to endorse or anything, like I'm not from this, I don't know too much about it, but this, this gentleman, Monroe, creating the Monroe Institute, they're coming at it from the level of saying that anyone can learn to harness their abilities as a remote viewer. This is just one aspect of their program. And of course we know this to be true because we have training programs going on with our government. So, it's like 6 months you can learn. They're saying you can learn as well. So the idea is that they're learning it so that they can seek information about unknown targets through means of extrasensory perception. But the purpose of this, if I can find it, is remote viewing can help people realize they are more than their physical bodies. So this is the goal and the effort of consciousness and rising human consciousness to open up people's perceptions of feeling like they're just boxed into smallness and physical obsessions and things that are very trivial, to opening your mind up to higher things, the interconnectedness of everyone. Because when you go down this path, you're also going into the idea of the science where they still also don't fully accept it. It was quantum physics and things like that, where we realize that the smallest point of everything, that everything's connected. So then it becomes a little bit silly to judge by race. It becomes a little bit silly to divide and separate. It becomes a little bit silly to harm one another, right? And these are the things that start to fall away once we open our minds to realizing that we are more than our physical bodies. And more than that, then we also have different capabilities that we can do. It's not about just spying on someone in a corner, right? Because that's also a violation of spiritual law, and it is accruing some kind of karma in its own. So again, these people that are studying this stuff don't have the frame of consciousness or integrity or intention or intuition to kind of guide them to say, hey, what are the repercussions of the way that you're using these human capabilities? It should be a joint effort, a human effort. It's very much a human conversation, and I think that the fact that we are still out of touch in trying to debunk this for some random reasons, we need to actually go the other direction and kind of steer it back towards harnessing what we could do with this information that's actually going to be beneficial and also doesn't accrue bad karma. I think that's where I will leave it. Again, thanks so much for joining me and your patience. I'll see you next time.